Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Short video today. I have a day of many parts. It's going to include many different things. So, variety is the spice of life and all that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, most of the items are work rather than enjoyment. But work leads to enjoyment, I believe. In most cases, when you do something and you finish it, there's an air of enjoyment or at least satisfaction out of getting something done. The trouble is when you get a really big job, you know you can't do it all in one go. So you know when you finish the amount you're going to do for that day and you sit back and look at it, you think, no, I've still got all that to do yet. It's not quite the same. Anyway, part of today was going to be to put that lot in bags. And then I thought, no. We'll make the pile bigger. So today's job is to get as far along that hedge as I can. And if I can finish that section today, that I will be over the moon at, because that's one side of the garden done. That only leaves two other sides, and one of them hasn't got much to do. So yeah, that's my goal for today, is to get up and try and get all that wisteria down, so that I can see the evergreen hedge and then get that cut down to the height it's supposed to be. Bearing in mind it's not my hedge. I have permission to cut it back to the fence, but I shouldn't be going any further than that. The problem with it is, I believe that because it leans this way towards the light, it's grown higher than next door intended it to be. And now they can't do much about it. But I can't go cutting it down lower because I'd be cutting into their side of the fence. That's not really my bit. But if they can see I've had a go at it, they might then have a go at it from their side, which will be a lot easier probably. Anyway, so that's a job for today. The other thing I must do is top up the feeders on the birds. They've been neglected. There's only one feeder that's got anything in at the moment. That's the peanuts, and they're still coming and feeding on that. Birds that don't normally feed on the peanuts are now feeding on the peanuts because there isn't anything else. But I've run out of the mixed seed. I've only got the sunflower seeds and the sunflower hearts. So until I can go and get some mixed seed again, I'm stuck with those two. But I mean, they're both high energy feeds, so they'd be okay. But yeah, get that out of the way and make that pile bigger. That's job number one. Job number two is I need to water my mounts and the holy clay pots. That won't take long. So that's another job to do. I need to push the hoover around the house because I haven't done that for a while. And both of the cats are molting at the moment. And Mojo has a strange thing because he's a long-haired cat. He must have inherited some genes from cats that live in very cold places, because he has a very thick under fur. And every couple of years he sheds it and it just mats. It just turns into tangled lumps. So at the moment he's walking around with bits of fur hanging off him, which he's slowly but surely chewing off. As they become loose, he sort of gnaws at them and leaves them on the floor. And I tell you what, if you're walking around barefoot in the dark and you put your foot on one of them, you tend to be in a different place very, very quickly. But yeah, they're both molting or shedding, whatever you want to call it. And so the hairy carpets, well, if you've got cats, it's hairy everything basically, but mainly carpets. They spend most of their time on the floor or on my bed. I must be one of the only people in the world that hoovers their bed covering. Otherwise you get fluff up your nose when you're in bed. Anyway, that's the job. And we have a new bloom. For those of you who haven't been with the channel too long, you won't have seen my my large Vanda. So I'm just going to bring it down so it's level with the camera. And I also need to manoeuvre that into a place so that I can hopefully manipulate some of these buds. So this is my large Vanda. I call it blue, but it's purple. It's bluish. I mean, it's not far off. And I'm calling it large But if you look at this bloom in the size of my hand now with my fingers closed and the stem between my first and second finger, it doesn't cover my hand. Now first of all, it's not fully opened flat yet, but every so many days I'll do this again because it's interesting to see just how much these blooms grow after they've opened, because this is going to end up about that big. Anyway, the fact that it's now opened, it's got rather a large number of buds this time round. Well, it did miss out last year. It didn't bloom at all last year. I don't think it liked the change of environment. Bit of shock going on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 buds. The spike will be a lot longer than that. And it's, what is it today, the 11th? On the 30th of this month, I've got a show. Well, as me saying I've got nothing to take, well, I have now. Because in that number of days, quite a lot more of these buds will be open. At least this bottom section will be open. And it's a non-competitive show, so plants are put in for people to look at. And to look at this one in a display, the lady who puts the display together, I can ask her to hide the plant, because it's had a problem here and lost some leaves, but it didn't lose them right down to the base. And I'm reluctant to take these off because some of these are still functional, they're still green. I mean, this one's going to fall off soon. But yeah, the plant can be hidden amongst other plants so that just the top section, which is okay, and the blooms stick out the top. But what I need to do with this now is make sure that it faces that way, by hook or by crook, so that the plant faces the strongest light. And then hopefully the rest of these buds will orientate themselves to that direction, so that when it goes in the display, the blooms are facing forward. That's my theory. To leave it where it is now, I'm going to have to move a couple of plants here, because it's covering up Jenkins's eye at the moment. So yeah, yes, and I'm one of those, as far as clearing up the dishes is concerned, I wait till I run out of plates. I haven't got it. Well, I was going to say I haven't got a dishwasher. I have. It's holding the camera at the moment. So I've got a big washing up session to do. Run out of plates. Now, you might call that lazy. I call it economic. Because first of all, I can't see any point in using a load of hot water and water in itself, which I'm paying for by the litre now, to wash up a few dishes, when I can wait and use that same amount of water and wash up all my dishes in one go and then put it all away. And that's a job that I really like doing, because when I've done it, the kitchen's all clean and tidy again. And in the meantime, it's got a stack of dirty dishes in the corner. They are stacked up tidily, they're not thrown all over the place. Yes, so I've decided not to bag that up today. That was going to be my job today, was to clear that away to make room for the rest. Well, the pile will get smaller. As I put stuff on it, you're going to say he's talking nonsense again. Has he been on the wine? What I'm getting at is this is greenery and it's still fresh in the main. Yeah, well, once you cut it and you put it down there, it starts to shrivel and shrink. So that pile is nowhere near as tall as it was yesterday morning. Yeah, so it's getting smaller, but I plan on increasing it quite a bit. So there we go. I had a comment on my bonsai channel on the video I did for the 2 new bonsai trees, reminding me that there's a bonsai auction on the 23rd, which is a Sunday, which is a nuisance, but it's a Sunday, and it's not that far away. So I think I'll go along to that. It's an event that I haven't been to before, and if you don't go to these events, you don't know whether they're worth going to again. You have to go once to find out, so I'll go along. I don't plan on buying anything, unless something really catches my eye. But at an event like that, I bet they won't have a card machine. So you'd have to have cash in your pocket, you know. And if you're looking at paying, well, you know, whatever, but I mean, like, say the tree was £100, who walks around with £100 cash in their pocket? People just don't do that nowadays. Anyway, I will go along and see what's what, and make sure I haven't got a pocket full of money, and then I can't buy much. I don't really want any more trees this year, quite honestly. But nonetheless, it sounds like it might be an interesting day out. So we can go along. And I mean, I may be able to film some trees that are, because normally with an auction you get a viewing session first where everybody pokes around and lifts stuff up and turns it upside down to see whether they like it or not prior to the auction starting. You walk around with little notebooks writing down the ones they fancy, so that when the auction gets to fever pitch they don't go bidding on the wrong one. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen at orchid auctions. Anyway, so that's today done. Short video today. Just basically what I'm up to. And if, as I plans change, I may change my mind because I don't feel like it. But if I get out there and hack that lot down today, I will film that. The idea is to film this major garden tidy and add it to my Roger's Garden playlist, which was started when I first moved in. So it's like a record of things going along with the garden. So I'll film that, but I'll probably do the speeded up bit again, so that it's... apparently it's more watchable like that, somebody said. Yeah, but the thing is, it gets rid of the gaps and it gets rid of the... You know, sometimes it can take quite a while to get to a particular branch and cut it down. Well, that doesn't necessarily make interesting watching. But watching a hedge come down in rapid succession, you know, from being there to not being there and being down there, is actually okay. And lots of people have said they love watching other people work. Yeah, cheers for that. Anyway, so that's that. Quite a few people have been talking about hibiki, and I still haven't really got my head round this flipping plant. I mean, this is I think it's my third one. I've definitely lost two. I may have lost three. And some people have said they've bought one recently and it's much smaller than this. And then somebody else said there's a new cross, which is hibiki crossed again with something else. That has larger flowers compared to the plant size. But I mean, this one has got quite a lot of growths that are actively growing. So I can see what this one's up to and see if it is continuing to grow or not, if you see what I mean. I don't like what it's potted in, but then quite a few people have said it's a bit of a drinker. Well, in which case it's in a suitable media, because that cocoa fibre holds a lot of moisture. But I've got low temperatures in here now. I mean, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, it's only up to 14 degrees. You know, I'll be lucky to get 17 in here today. It's a very cold day outside. We weren't far off a frost, quite honestly, when I let Mojo out first thing this morning. Yeah, we're not far off a frost. So, and already cutting that bit of the hedge down has left a hole. And that hole now lets sunlight through. It's just a bit of sun, you know, just bright. It was on the orchids a minute ago. I should have filmed then, shouldn't I? Anyway, I need to get going. Breakfast, or in fact, it's second breakfast. I'm taking a hint out of The Hobbit. Meal times. We have breakfast, then we have second breakfast, then we have 11s, then we have lunch. Yeah. All my meals are tiny little snacks, snacklets, little tiny bits until I get to my main meal in the evening, sort of like 5 o'clock. And then I have a proper meal and sit down at the table and everything. So, right, so we need to, I was going to say I need to get cracking, but I don't. Because what I don't want to do is go at anything today like a bull in a china shop. I got away with that work on Sunday and my back was okay. It twinged a few times while I was doing the work. But I got up the next morning thinking, no, what's today going to be like? And I was fine. So that amount of work, for that amount of time, and the type of work, I got away with. Now the type of work today is all up high, whereas part of that work on Sunday was these lower bushes where I just stood and did the work. Yeah? Whereas today it's all up high, so it's all reaching up, arching your back and all that sort of stuff. So whether I get that whole section done today will remain to be seen. But that's the plan. Best laid plans and all that sort of stuff, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Oh, this one shelf at a time, or one side of a rack at a time, seems to go okay. I won't say they're the most popular videos, but quite a few people have said they like the idea because they get to see plants they wouldn't normally see and chat about them. And a lot of people have said they get to see plants they didn't even know I had. You know, so that they're serving a purpose. So we'll get at least another one of those in this week, and we'll see where we go from there. Bye for now. Oh, and the bit on the end, we're going back to something similar to what I used to do, but not quite the same. I used to add a joke on the end of some videos, not all of them, but finding clean jokes is getting hard. There's just not many around. They're all not the sort of thing I want on the channel, because not everybody appreciates that sort of thing. But what I have found is a couple of sites that sell t-shirts, tops, you know, sweatshirts, t-shirts, hoodies, with slogans on, like sayings, witticisms. Some of them are menacing, but they're just things that people say, I suppose, and I thought I'd add a few of those on at the end now and again. They'll always be at the end, so if you're not interested you can bail out. But the one that caught my eye this morning was, and I quote, "It's very strange being the same age as old people." You might have to think about it. It tickled me. It's me as well, isn't it? It's me. You know, I am the same age as old people now. I am old people. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.